Well, hey everybody, this is Chris DeFurio with Keys to the Shop. Welcome to another edition of Shift Break. Today's episode is brought to you by the wonderful folks over at La Marzocco. They've been making espresso machines for almost 100 years. You know, that's a long time to be making espresso machines. And the reason why La Marzocco is a household name is because throughout that time, they have been dedicated to making the coffee retailer successful through beauty, dependability, and innovation. Machines like the KB90 espresso machine with the straight-in locking portafilters, scales in the drip tray, auto flush in the group heads, the Linea PB with a classic Linea profile with all the tech of today that allows you ultimate control over your extraction, the new school version of the old school lever machine, the Leva. There's all sorts of configurations of machines that La Marzocco has for you to choose from. You need to check them out over at lamarzocco.usa.com or reach out info@lamarzocco.usa.com. Have one of their salespeople have a conversation with you and help you select the right equipment for your cafe. You're going to end up with something great because that's what they produce, is great espresso machines. So if you're looking for the right espresso machine for your new coffee shop, for your second coffee shop, whatever your need is, La Marzocco has something to fit that need. Again, over at lamarzocco.usa.com. Today's episode is also brought to you by Rattleware. Rattleware is a company that is dedicated to making smallwares that just work. You know, the pain that is involved in having small things go wrong on the bar. Over time, it creates a big issue. And smallwares all over the cafe create the experience. You know, sometimes we obviously should think about the big equipment that could break, but what about pitchers and whisks and knockboxes and shot glasses and things like that? You want these things to just work well. That's what Rattleware wants as well. So just when you're looking at smallwares, you know, we often have to buy these things to start out, but to keep going, to maintain that consistency, look to Rattleware. Check them out over at rattleware.com. Okay, everybody. Well, today on Shift Break / Old Man Yelling at a Cloud, which is what I'm going to feel like when I'm talking about this, I am going to give you a little bit of what I hope will be some pause and perspective on choosing to use made-for-you solutions in the form of templates or in the form of AI. Okay, so before you start calling me some kind of a Luddite who doesn't like technology, et cetera, don't forget that I'm using the internet right now to record a podcast, and that's not hypocritical, you know, because that's just proving to you I am also a man of the time. Today, I have a cell phone. I am not churning my own butter over here in Kentucky. Although when you say you live in Kentucky, maybe you do get that image, but it's actually something I should probably try to do. Anyway, the point is that not all technology is a net positive. And sometimes it can actually take away from something positive that you could have if you embrace truly what is needed for your cafe versus what is promising to fulfill that need for your cafe. That kind of sounds too good to be true. And I think GPT is that thing. And, you know, whatever AI system you're using right now, toying around with saying, hey, GPT, write me a policy on tardiness for a coffee shop of 25 people. And you give it all these prompts. And now we've got all these influencers out here saying, okay, these are the secret prompts to make ChatGPT make productivity effortless for you and your team. It's all just a bunch of garbage. It really is. And here's the reason why. If you create a document that you will live by, like this is the life of your business is in the policies that you create for your business. It is how we do things around here, right? The rules, the regulations, the mannerisms, the values, and all of these things, we are taught, I think, to avoid hardship like the plague. When we get really worried about what to write in our policies, we're like, I don't know what to say. And how do I do this? How do I do that? And then off to the side, at the corner of our eye, is this brightly colored object that it says, all you need to do is ask me and I'll do it for you. Now, sometimes this could come in the form, before AI, this was templates. Hey, We've got an entire coffee shop manual written for you right here. You just need to download it and presto changeo. All of the worry and stress that you were going to go through, foolish you, to create these things from scratch, well, you don't have to do that because we've done it for you. Now, there is something to be said for, okay, things that are universal and very vanilla. These are things like a general application for employment that you would then take and customize. Okay, templates where there is the underlines are there for you, or the punctuation, or I don't know, like the structure of the document is there, but the content is still up to you. I don't mind those so much. In fact, I use those and have some of those that I use with my clients. But when you get this promise of plug and play, what you're doing, I'm talking about you in particular as the one who would download this thing or let AI kind of write your rules and policies and other things for you. What you're doing is you're circumventing the effort that actually creates character and develops you as a leader, as somebody who has to actually enforce these things, yet now without conviction, because you haven't gone through the process of fully embracing what this thing looks like in action, as you would have if you had done this a little bit more from scratch. If you want to talk about time off policies, if you want to talk about the use of the space and discounts for your employees, or you want to talk about conduct behind the bar and that kind of thing, there's a lot of very universal things that can get spit out of these basically plagiarized software mechanisms that is AI. You can get that, but it's not going to be exactly what your business needs because you haven't really gone through the process of wrestling with the question to develop conviction around the solution. Now, even if you go out there and you look at some of those solutions yourself and create a wide and varied perspective on things that you could write, that at least is the effort that it would take for you to know the lay of the land regarding the question that's on your mind. But if all we're taught really to do is, just ask GPT to give you some ideas for this, give you ideas for that, have it write your workshops and your onboarding process and everything else, I really bristle against that, to be honest with you, because I'm not for needless stress. But I am also not in favor of wasting needed stress. And crafting a document for your business is something that you could liken to dialing in a coffee. If you think about this from the perspective of, rather than tasting the coffee and really assessing it and dialing it in and making sure that it's right in the morning, all we did was say, well, this is what the internet says espresso should be. And therefore, if it is what the internet says it should be, it is correct. And if you disagree, then I'll just say, well, no, that's what the internet says it should be. We wouldn't do that hopefully you're not doing that with coffee. I mean, you're taking some pride in your skills and craftsmanship, and you're equipping people to do that. You're taking the responsibility on yourself to develop the skills necessary to make adjustments according to what you want. And you are proving it through your tasting and experimentation and curiosity, right? Well, why would you do the same thing with elements of your business that need to have a personalized touch? So again, this is not to say that you can't get inspiration from other sources or that you can't use templates that start you off in the right direction. But there should always be an element of customization, contextualization, because you cannot let yourself off the hook for wrestling with the issue, because in that wrestling, you have buy-in, you have wisdom, and it contextualizes the issue so it's actually effective for your business, not just reflective of an industry, because that's what we're doing. We're substituting effectiveness for reflectiveness. It's reflecting what most people are doing with a thing, and that might not be right for you. And sitting with the issue for a while and being okay with that tension long enough for that contextualizing to happen is part of what makes these things work. when we go through exercises with clients about constructing operational values, for example, what we do is we have a conversation about what they want their customers to experience, what they want their baristas to experience, how people treat each other, how they treat the coffee, how they act in relation to the space and keeping up the physical coffee shop. And we go through, it's a big list. We end up with a huge list of things. And then we have to narrow it down. We really dig into their desires and their values to come up with a shorter list that is then expounded upon in detail and given some really practical application. And at the end of it, you end up with this really useful cornerstone document that really transforms the way that we operate the entire cafe. That's one of the first things we do when we onboard a new client at Keys to the Shop in the consulting. But wouldn't it be easier for Keys to the Shop to just say, hey, we've been around the business for quite a long time. Here are some values. And I think these are things that you should have as values. And you, as the maybe a little bit insecure, a little bit, stretched for time and cash and wanting answers, you say, wow, our consultant just gave us this list, this master list of the most effective values for coffee shops and sourced from some of the best out there. And if they're doing it, then we should do it. And so perfect. Job done. That takes all of 5 minutes. Just put the PDF in my email and I'll give it to my staff and they'll read it and it'll be effective, right? Wrong. It won't be. It won't be. Because there's no self-exploration, there's no buy-in, there's no discovery, there's no maturation. And so we want all these things so quickly. And the presence of ChatGPT is not like this. It's just a different version of the same desire that we have that's similar to water, the path of least resistance. Don't be like water going through a puck of espresso looking for the path of least resistance, okay? We can dwell in that environment long enough to extract the needed volatile aromatics in the case of coffee, or vital information in the case of coffee people, vital culture, vital values. And that way, when we end up with something, we know it's not just slapped on there because we're trusting in the made-for-you philosophy that helped us avoid the discomfort of the moment. We'll be a little more proud of ourselves too. And so this is just me saying to you, if it seems too good to be true and you feel like you just want to download your coffee shop from the internet, try to resist that urge. Sit with it long enough to actually make it a solution of your own and be a student of the process so that you can grow with your business, because part of this process is going to require you to go through these things to become stronger yourself, because you actually need to lead people in the business of coffee, not just give them some made-for-you solutions that will lead in your place. So that's all I have to say today on this shift break. I hope that it makes sense, and let me know what you think. Maybe you disagree with this. I'd be interested in your thoughts, but certainly, it's not like a black and white issue, but there's enough of this out there in the industry that I've seen recommended by others that concerned me enough that I thought we need to actually just discuss it a little bit. So thanks very much, and I will see you here next week on another edition of Shift Break, from Keys to the Shop.